They say success is a combination of opportunity and preparation, and I would therefore argue that Ayanokoji manufactures his luck, and that's because he lays the groundwork before every one of his endeavors. In the days leading up to and during the sports festival, Ayanokoji purposely took more of a backseat than usual. He watched on the sidelines as Class D took loss after loss and failure after failure in every event. It was clear from the get-go that each matchup was one-sided. Sudo, who for once can actually showcase his talents, matches up against the weakest of links, and Horikita and the rest of Class D are victims of Class C's underhanded tactics and brute force, all while Ryuen savagely and flawlessly takes every victory he can manage. The only way to describe the circumstances at hand is despair, and it all went to Ayanokoji's plan, and that's because failure is the stepping stone to success. At the end of Season 1, Ayanokoji said that he never saw Hirata, Kushida, and Horikita as allies. So what does he do at the start of Season 2? He makes Kei his ally by the most deplorable means possible. He broke her down to her lowest point, so she would have no choice but to see Ayanokoji as her lone savior and protector. When you're in a room full of darkness, you will naturally gravitate to any semblance of light. Every leader needs someone to delegate to, and every king needs a pawn. It was this same mentality that Ayanokoji imposed on Horikita. Ayanokoji told Horikita that she needs allies, and Sudo could become an indispensable weapon for Class D. And as he stated, use him like I use you. Ayanokoji knew of the existence of a traitor. He knew that their class list would be leaked and that every event would end in total failure. And so, he did nothing. He let everyone fail, let everything go off the rails so the truth would reveal itself to him. He wanted Horikita to lose hope in herself, to accept her futility and uselessness. Ayanokoji wanted the proud Sudo to fall back into his aggressive habits and walk down a path of self-destruction. He wanted them to taste their vulgar failure so they could learn from their mistakes and move forward. And although his approach continues to cross the moral gray, his means were correct. From the beginning of Classroom of the Elite, Horikita dealt with a superiority complex. She believed she outclassed her classmates in every facet of her being. She didn't care about others, just herself and her development, and this individualistic mentality would be far more detrimental than useful to Class D. And Ayanokoji needed to forcibly release her from her shackles and make her understand that she's no different from the rest of Class D, just another defect. The only difference is her potential, because Horikita has a plethora of admirable qualities, and she has what it takes to help Class D ascend to Class A. And the same can be said about Sudo, an athletic superstar that needs some guidance. Ayanokoji understood the value that Sudo brought to Class D. He just needed someone to keep his balances in check, and Horikita was more than capable. Ayanokoji wanted Horikita to realize that she can't do everything herself, and she needs to rely on others. That will not only make her stronger, but everyone else stronger. Horikita could make Sudo her pawn. Ayanokoji wanted the aggressive Sudo to bite off more than he could chew, and show that there were many areas he needed to work on. He wanted his classmates to fail so they could succeed later on. You have to walk before you run. You learn from your mistakes, and that helps you grow. And grow they must, because Ryuen is an undeniable threat to Class D, running his class like a dictatorship, stepping over ethical lines to win. He will hurt his own classmates, forcibly eliminate his competitors if it benefits the class in the long run. And Ayanokoji is of the same mind. Ryuen and Ayanokoji are two sides of the same coin. Two people who make their own luck.